Hello.
Well, my mom was a great fan of musicals, and one of the musicals that she liked was Man of La Mancha. Is anybody a fan of that one? Well, there was a line in that called "Enter into my imagination." And that's what I want you to do right now. You see, right now, I've beamed up, transported my grandma's chair from my production corner in my home studio office. And that's where I do the geeky grandma with an encouraging nod. And as you can tell, I may be a little older than some of the gals in the house, so I kind of tend to lean towards speaking to those gals. So there may be some old references, well, you'll get it anyway. Okay, and this is a case where I'm interviewing me as a youngster up to going to college. And it's a story that kind of helps me tell you how God made me and how it felt really weird, but in the long run, it was just right. So come on in and join me so I get comfortable in my chair. No, I gotta make sure the microphone's turned on. I always forget to do that. Okay. It was the last day of kindergarten. And I ran into the house with my big yellow envelope, tore into my bedroom, and I plopped down on the corner of it. I pulled out my report card slowly and flipped it over. Now, I just finished kindergarten. I know my alphabet, and I know my sounds, but I can't read just yet. So let me see. S-H-Y. Shy? Shy? Yeah, I know what that means. But did they have to brand it on my forehead with a black permanent marker? Ugh. Well, I am kind of quiet, but let's see what happens. So time marches on, and I'm in 3rd grade now. You know, 3rd grade, where you get to go overnight to other people's houses and go to have parties. And, it sounds like so much fun. I can't wait. And all of a sudden I hear talk about there's a snow party coming on this weekend. Now, I know you people in Atlanta may not have snow parties, but back in New York, it's a big deal. Okay, so they're talking about the party, and I'm talking to this one and that one, and it's just all we talked about at lunch all week long. And then Friday came, and the girl whose house this was going to be at had a pile of invitations. Oh man, I hope I get one. I can't wait. Oh, this is fun. And I just sneak up a little closer to where she is. There's other kids gathering around. I get almost up to her, and then I think, oh, no. There's a rule at our house that if you go over to somebody's house, you have to invite them back. And I couldn't do that. You know, they might see, and they wouldn't keep it quiet. Oh, I felt so ashamed. But I couldn't share it with Mom and Dad. And I couldn't share it with my teacher. So here I am back in the room with all these invitations. And instead of going forward, I take a step back. And I take another step back. And I just shake my head, and I step back, and my stomach hurts, because if I can't go to this party, I can't go to any of them. So I slithered back and back into a shell that would become my home for the next 3 years. And my little third grade mind, that was the best solution they could come up with, that protective, or so I thought, shell. And when you're in that kind of shell, well, guess what? You don't make any friends. You become invisible. And worse yet than that, they think you're kind of weird or don't want anything to do with you. And that just hurts. It hurts so bad inside here. And I stayed there, but I grew. I had a teacher or two along the way that saw me as a human, but I kept just being in there all alone. And then I hit 7th grade. And for some reason, I wanted to join the choir. Now, there was this one boy who teased me terribly. And believe me, it wasn't because he had a crush on me. And I went up to the music teacher and I said, I want to join choir. And she looks at me and she says, do you know who's in the choir? And I says, yep, I know. And if he doesn't like me there, he can leave. See, I grew a little bit in that shell. And, I don't know if he stayed in choir. I don't even know if he stayed in the school. But I was in choir. And time goes on, and as I just kind of gently come back into the real world and try to reacclimate and try to become human again, that was a hard journey. It was a long journey, but I kept working at it, and I joined this club, or I joined that club. On Yearbook Photographer's Day, I was busy all day getting my picture taken in all these clubs. And time come for graduation. And I was sitting down in the seats waiting for the different awards to be handed out. And guess who's sitting right next to me? The girl with all the invitations. And they start giving out awards. So I had to hand her my roses as I walked down and got that award, and I handed her my roses again and again and again. Guess what? I got the most prizes and earned the largest sum of money. Not too shabby for a shy girl. Time goes on and I go off to college, and I found a nice quiet college where I didn't have to worry about being an outcast, because you know what? Everybody there was an outcast too. So I fit right in. And we had a dorm room that had a suite area in the middle, and one night all of us from the suite made a huge circle. Okay, it was really an oval, but we were sitting there and we were having some deep, dark discussion. Not dark, but deep discussion. And I'm listening as this one talks and that one talks and that one talks. And got almost to the point where their bottoms couldn't sit still any longer. And then I spoke up. And I summed up this person's opinion, and this person, and the opposite opinion, and the opposite opinion. I brought them all together, pulled them to a conclusion, and added a little humor, just for the fun of it. See, so I may have looked quiet, but it was really just a form of a gift. That shy little girl is speaking out in Atlanta for the first time on stage. And the Geeky Grandma, if you want to get a hold of me, here's how you can do it. You can look for my podcast called The Geeky Grandma with an Encouraging Nudge. You can look at my website called The Geeky Grandma with an Encouraging Nudge. And if you'd like to write, just put Jill at with a .com on the end and put in, say it with me, The Geeky Grandma with an Encouraging Nudge. And my husband came up with this one final thought, and the Geeky Grandma, instead of being that shy girl, he says, Geeky Grandma, remember, she hears you. Thank you.